My great pleasure now to welcome back to the program after a while my friend Urban Meyer, and he's off a fishing trip and playing, I think, tennis today. I'm not sure, golf. I don't know. It's stressful making that schedule up, Urban, isn't
Yeah, we got a lot going on. You throw in four grandkids and three kids, and Shelly, and all's good, man. We live in paradise in Sarasota, and I'm on the board of Veterans Golf Association now and Tebow Foundation, so we're doing really cool things, and life's good.
Well, I mean, look, it is a great place down there, no doubt about that. And I think the grandkids called you Buddy, right?
That's right, Buddy and Mimi. Mimi and Buddy, yeah.
Shoot, they got a perfect name for that, Buddy. Man, what the heck? What could be better than that, my friend?
The namesake, Buddy Martin.
Yeah. So I want to get right into a subject I think you'd be terrific to talk about. Is winning contagious? And I bring this up because the Florida golf team, you might not have followed it, but you did, won the national championship, individual and team, and they were down all 3 days and came back to win it. It was inspirational. I've never had so many people talk about golf being inspirational. They showed a lot of guts, whatever. And then the Florida baseball team comes back last weekend in the regional and had to win three straight games to stay alive against Texas Tech, two of them, and did. And now they're going to the host of the Super Regional. So I talked to a friend of yours this morning named Spurrier about this. I know you had some interactions with Billy Donovan and you guys had a thing going. First, address the question: is it possible for the winning tradition or the style or whatever to impact other teams in the school?
Oh, there's absolutely no doubt there is. You know, Jeremy Foley was our athletic director, and obviously one of the greatest of all time. But you remember Rhonda Fain, Mary Wise, you had basketball, you had all the sports were doing great. And another reason, Florida is a great place, but there's a lot of great places out there. It's the people. And Jeremy Foley made it very clear he expected to win. He gave you the tools you needed to win, and it did. We kind of fed off each other. I remember I would go talk to Ron. The reason I bring up Rhonda Fain is she was such a great friend and phenomenal coach. Mary Wise, my daughters played volleyball, and I used to
Yeah,
watch her
yeah.
practice, talk to her all the time, and you learn from each other. You share. Billy Donovan and I spoke to each other's teams all the time. We went to each other's games all the time. Winning begats winning. Unfortunately, the other side's true as well. Losing, kind of, you get a losing culture there, and it's so hard to dig out of that. So there's no question that it does impact the other teams.
When you look back, and I've done this a couple of times and visited both with you and Steve on an article I'm going to write this summer, the two greatest coaches in Florida football history and two of the greatest of all time in college football to have been there and done what you did during that time. Looked upon it now like, oh, wow, how do we do that exactly? I mean, you did it by following up at Ohio State. He did it to a lesser degree, but at South Carolina. So when you think about how much pride you take in that you and Spurrier basically own the joint.
Well, Steve Spurrier is a winner. There's a lot of things that people can say about a lot of people, and he's a winner. And he set the standard here at Florida. I always made comments, uh, kind of being somewhat in a very respectful, but I always felt the visor around me, and rightfully so. He was a great player there, Heisman Trophy winner, national champion coach. He's the one that it was hard to believe that Florida really never won a conference championship until Steve Spurrier did. So, um, rightfully so, Steve Spurrier brought a winning culture to University of Florida. It's not saying it wasn't there before like that though.
No.
And every year, my what was it 6 years? My 6 years there, I was chasing Steve Spurrier, and I say that all the time. I say that much respect. When we won the national championship in '06, I personally got Steve Spurrier a ring because I thought he earned that. How did he earn that? We blocked a field goal to beat him, but he earned it because he set the standard at the University of Florida. And everybody for the rest of, you know, as long as Florida is playing football, they're going to try to live up to Steve Spurrier.
Yeah, but you and Spurrier screwed it up for everybody else because those days can never come back. I don't think. We'll see if they do. But
So,
there are
I think they can, buddy.
really
I
that
think they can.
dominant,
I think they can. Maybe not basketball and football at the same time. No,
right?
I'm not sure that'll ever happen again.
Yeah.
But Florida's got what it takes. Florida, they got a great coach right now. He's got obviously has some challenge ahead of him, but everybody just got to hang in there. What happens in Florida and some of these other places,
Mm-hmm.
the world starts caving in on them when you lose a recruit, you lose a game, and sustainability is how you develop great winning
Urban,
programs.
is it worse at Florida than other places like Ohio State? Pretty high expectations there. Is it just Florida that seems to be this win or die deal?
No, I think you probably got 4 or 5 schools in America, and out of respect to all the other schools, I won't say who, but there's 3, 4, or 5 schools that have people say it's expectations that can never be met. And I used to share this with our team at Ohio State and Florida is that, hey, that's life in the big city, pal. You don't have to be here. This is very hard. If you don't win by more than 14 when you're supposed to win by 14, people are critical of you. Thank God we're at a place that losing is not acceptable because who would want to work in a place like that where it's acceptable? Florida, it's not acceptable.
Tough deal for Billy Napier right now, though. He's got to do something this year because Gator fans, it's a new day with NIL. You talk about this on your show all the time, a big noon show on Saturday. But, but there are things that have changed. And because TCU was so successful last year and whatever with NIL and with the transfer portal, look what they did at Michigan State. Now he's in trouble. So everybody thinks, well, we'll just go get us a team, we'll buy him or whatever. It's not working that way, Urban.
No, it's not. It never work. It's never as easy as maybe people like I remember one time, hey, yeah, Florida, you really don't recruit. You just kind of pick your players. And I look at him and say, you have no idea what you're talking about.
Hmm.
You know, you got to. The only difference is you're recruiting against Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, the top, and there's a reason why they're top. They're great recruiters. So it's very difficult. It's very complicated. I've always been a believer that culture will serve you well if you have a very strong culture, and that's been proven over time. When the culture starts to slip, that's a problem, and that's why you see the Nick Sabans of the world, and you see Kirby. We'll see how long he can. He's got it going right now, and you can say he's got great players. He does, but he must have an incredible culture in that program right now.
The culture begins with getting the players, and you made it look somewhat easy. I think you had a top five class like almost every year but one. And you had number one class at least one year, maybe two. Anyway, you had the recruits. People think they're falling off the back of pickup trucks, coming down University Avenue. You worked your tail off. I remember the story you told after you won the title in '06. You're sitting in the locker room, I believe, with Bud and don't know who else, uh, Earl
Earl Brewer.
Bruce, and he hits you just after like 20 minutes, 30 minutes after the game. You won the national championship. Oh my gosh, I got to go recruit, right?
Yeah, that was '06. Then '08, I actually, just the way my mind was working at the time was I was already thinking about '09. And the players were out there dancing, celebrating. I physically, because people were bothering me, I locked the door and I had to hit the top 20 recruits in America personally before I went back out and enjoyed the victory. And one of my coaches came in, he got real upset with me and said, "Will you just please relax for a minute, enjoy this?" And I was like, "We got to get these recruits. It's already '08's gone. We're on to '09."
Wow.
I didn't, when we won it at Ohio State, I didn't let that happen.
Yeah, you
I
got to
made
enjoy
sure
the moment. Yeah.
everybody enjoyed that win.
Yeah, for sure. Well, it's about the recruiting, and nobody set the bar higher than you. I'm doing some recruiting stories. One of my all-time favorites is still the Tebow story because I start thinking about what would have Florida been without Tim Tebow. Who knows? But it was a frightening thought to you and Greg Madison as you were getting on the plane to go recruit Tim, who at that point was leaning toward Alabama.
Yeah, so Greg Madison and I are on the plane, and I remember already in my mind convinced myself that we'd be okay if we lost Tim. And I already had, it was a junior college quarterback. I was
Mm.
already set with Doc Holliday. We're going to go see this player because in my mind we lost Tim to Alabama. And I'm getting on the plane with Greg Madison, who was my right hand man at the time and a great recruiter himself and loved him. And I looked at him and I said, we're going to be okay. Um, I have a plan in case Tim goes to Alabama. And I started explaining his plan. He puts his hand up and he said, Coach, if we lose Tim Tebow, that'll set the program back 10 years.
Mm. Wow.
I got so pissed. I was like, you know, because I knew he was right.
That's right.
I
Yeah.
knew he was right.
Yeah. Can't even think about it. What I did. Well, you did get him in such a wonderful time. We get to see relive some of this stuff, Urban. Now on this special, what's it called, Swamp Kings? On had a lot of questions on my show about this. Had some this morning on the show I did. What's going on with this show? Is there going to be a favorable Florida piece? Is it a hit job? What's going to happen? And I said, I don't really know. He said, but I talked to Urban several months ago about it. He was pretty excited about it. So, what can you tell fans about this piece? It's come out in August, right? Called Swamp Kings on Netflix, right?
Yeah, it's August 23rd. And I think just for, I have, we're supposed to do something with Netflix. They were really good to work with. At first I said no when they asked me to take part in it. And then I thought, wait a minute, there's been so many, comments about that team and quite honestly, ridiculous comments about that team. So I said, no, I am going to do this because all I care about is honor. That '08 team, that'll go down as one of the great teams in college football
One of the
history.
greatest. One of the
The
greatest, for sure.
'06 team, think about what that '06 team did. They came out of nowhere and went on
Mm-hmm.
to beat the, number one team in the country soundly.
Really, no kidding.
You
You can
know,
say it, Urban. It was Ohio State, okay?
uh, so I did it, and they were great to work with. The most important thing is when you see the interview list of people that are on the
Mm-hmm.
show, it's
Mm-hmm.
the people that should be on the show. There's some people, unfortunately, not that we tried to get in there and for whatever reason aren't on it. But
Mm-hmm.
it's a celebration of some great football players and a great football team at a great university. That's what it is. Are there highs and lows? Yeah, but it's true. It's not some. People keep asking me, is it a hit or whatever? I think you said the same thing. Not hit
Mm-hmm.
piece or I'm not sure what that means
No.
because I don't. The best thing I started doing, buddy, is I don't read some of the silliness that's out there. I just know what it was, and yeah, there were some lows. We lost a few games. We had some issues on the team, uh, but we also had incredible people, great football players, and great people, and one of the greatest football players of all time in the quarterback Timmy. So it's going to be it's going to be a good show for Florida, and it's going to be a behind the scenes look at a nice run.
Can you give us a few names besides Tim Tebow who might be in it, or is that against the rules?
If it is, I don't know. I haven't really dug
Brandon
into it.
Siler is one.
Okay, if you ask me, I can affirm it.
Yeah.
Yes, he's a
Well, I mean, I just if you I can guess, but I mean, I can guess who it was. Anyway, so I don't think it's against the rules. Well, it comes time for promo. We'll talk again, but I'm looking forward to it. And good on you, by the way. Right behind, let's see, this side of my head over here, right there is a book. You might have heard of it. It's called Urban's Way.
yeah.
And what I appreciated about that book was when we did it, is you were very open about it, honest about it. You didn't try to control it. Probably some things you wouldn't have rather had in there, but it was all part of what happened to that program and that championship year. So I know that. I mean, I couldn't have asked anybody to be more honest and forthright with me about that book, and I'm very proud to have been part of it. And you should be too, because it's a really good book. It's probably out of print now, but anyway, it was a great opportunity. So let's talk about Gator fans are going to Salt Lake. And you had phenomenal luck. I won't call it luck. You had results in your team. I forget the year when you came and beat everybody, and you should have won the national championship. At that time, I think Utah was in the Mountain West. I'm trying to recall, and you beat who was it? Boise? You beat no? Was it Oklahoma? Who was that you beat in the bowl game?
We beat Pitt in the BCS bowl game.
Okay,
One of the BCS bowl games.
okay. All right. So I'm sorry for not remembering, but tell folks. I have a hard time keeping up with Florida, let alone Utah. Tell folks what to expect. What a tremendous time of year to be going to Utah. It's a beautiful state, and going up to the Rice Eccles. I'm not familiar with that stadium. The coach there, you know pretty darn well what a job he's done, Kyle Whittingham. And so, tell Gator fans what to expect when they get there this fall.
Well, it's when we were hired in 2003. Utah was basically considered a commuter school. They were, the attendance was not very good. They had a really good coach in Ron McBride, but never could really move had some really good years. But the reason a lot of people really were mad at me when I took that job, and I just saw Salt Lake City, the surrounding areas of 2 million people. I saw Utah was very committed budget wise and facility wise to being the best in the Mountain West Conference. They had an athletic director, Chris Hill, that, I laid out a plan that we needed this, this, and this to be successful, and he said, we'll do it. And then I went to work, and we went to work. And I just was with Kyle Winningham about a week ago in Salt Lake, played golf. We had lunch together, and Morgan Scally, his D coordinator, who played for me. And that place has turned out to be, it's going to be one. It's only probably 60,000, I want to say now. The student body was picked by many to be the best in the country now. That we started it. We called it the MUS. After the 2003 season, we wanted to get a student engagement, and we actually asked the students to help us name it. And they came up with the MUS. It's the Mighty Utah Students section.
Must.
Altitude, buddy. Altitude is real.
Yeah.
You're at 6,000 feet.
Yeah.
I want to say it's 6,000, and I remember we played North Carolina, and we beat them. Put almost 700 yards offense on them, and they couldn't handle the altitude, the speed of our team. It's gonna if and I don't know how you get ready a team ready. You're at sea level or in the swamp, or sometimes it feels like you're below sea level. But that's a long, hard trip, and they better be ready because Utah is a really, really well coached team and good team.
Is their quarterback going to play? Is he back? Is he all right? Sorry.
I don't know that, buddy. I know he got hurt, but he's back for seems like his 15th year. But he's fun to watch and a great player.
Yeah, well, it might be a great weekend for Gator fans too. All right, let's talk one more time about Big Noon Saturday, the show. You're back again. The show started, I believe, in 2019. Nobody had any idea it was going to be so successful. I don't think. Maybe the producers did. And now you got this show, and you got this expanded audience because of all the expansion. And you're with the same guys. Talk about the show a little bit. Who's on with you? I know, but I mean, talk about you. You got a great camaraderie, these guys, and you say you really like it. And by the way, you're pretty good at it too.
Yeah, I don't like it. I love it. And when they came to me, it was right before a Rose Bowl game when I was stepping away from Ohio State, and they came to me, and I'll never forget the words. They said, Fox, college football is all about celebrating this great game and those who play it, and that's all I wanted to hear. It wasn't about political stuff. It wasn't about going after people, and we don't do that. We celebrate the great game. We have people report the news, and my job is to go behind the scenes in recruiting and strategy and fundamentals and locker room and try to give a viewer what's really going on. And Reggie Bush, Matt Leinart, Brady Quinn, and Rob Stone have become brothers to me. I'm the oldest brother, but I love those guys. And the ratings have been really good. The feedback from our higher ups have been really good, and we're going to hit it really hard. We have a Deion Sanders first game in TCU and Deion Sanders second game at home. So we'll be there live and ready.
Interesting. Can't wait. All right. So, final note about recruiting. People are fascinated by it. There's no science to it that I know of. Gator fans are very upset when they don't hear about 4s and 5 stars for team building. What can you tell us if I was a new coach and I was trying to learn how to recruit, what tips could you give me?
Well, you always find out who's going to pull the trigger. And there's only one way to do that, and that's time. How do you spell love? Time. How do you spell recruiting? Time. How do you spell anything that you want to be great at? You have to spend time. It's a labor-intensive position to recruit. I think now it's a lot different because money's involved. Money was not involved. It was all about relationship and what that school could do for you. And we always preach, how I am about academics and life after football. That was number one. Number two was win, and number three was NFL. And we had proof that was going to happen if you did what you were supposed to do. But the best coaches I've been around, I can walk in when I had a great assistant coach, and I walked into that home, I knew that if I did my job, we'd get the kid because the relationship was already set. There's hugs and They ate together before. There was a relationship there. What's really bad, buddy, is when you'd walk in with a coach that wasn't very good. I'm talking about an assistant coach, and they don't know each other. And that happened, that happens because the coach isn't very good or because some circumstances you just got on them. That's really hard. And that's where the head coach has got to be a sledgehammer and get it done. Normally the head coach is a closer. Uh, and if you're joining my staff, I'd say I expect you to, you better be knee deep in that player and the players' families and the high school coach and everybody, his girlfriend and everybody around him. You better know everything about him.
Well, I think about IMG being right down there where you are, and how Florida went for a long time and didn't get any IMG players. Now, I don't know much about it, but if it's legal and I had a staff, I'd move a guy down there. Okay, I think be there every day. Go to. I know you can only do so many visits, but there are ways to form relationships. And Florida's gotten a few IMG players recently, but not that many. I got a feeling if Urban Meyer was a coach, you'd have had a lot more because you was zeroed in on that. To me, that's like, that's like low hanging fruit.
Well, I think St. Thomas Aquinas is. I've always got a warm heart. George Smith was the coach, and there was a while where we, if we didn't get the best player, we were always right there. And George used to joke around. The people used to joke around. I had my own office at St. Thomas Aquinas.
Really?
Because I knew I really didn't, but I knew everybody there. And I knew everybody in there in that facility, the secretary, the head coach, the offense coordinator, defense.
Well, how'd you get to know him, Urban? Did you just go down there and meet him, or what? Did you have somebody helping you, or what?
TIME, time.
Yeah.
I how it was, buddy. I mean, you probably heard stories. If I went in there, I was going to spend hours in that school. If I could. And I was going to, where there's great players, are going to be great players, you better invest a lot of time there. And IMG is one of them. You're right. Someone better be there at least once a week, 5-6 hours,
wow.
and surrounding yourself there.
Wow. Okay, last thing. Did you ever dance for a recruit? Because we know the story about Brian Kelly, and now we're seeing dances becoming a thing. I asked Coach Spurrier about this. He said he once had to dance for Marcus Lattimore's mom to do the cha-cha, and he did it. He said, I danced the cha-cha, and Lattimore came to South Carolina. So did you have to do dance for somebody?
No, I never did that, and I'll tell you what, I'd pay good money to watch Steve Spurrier.
No, I wish I had a video of it.
I wouldn't know I can't even spell cha-cha, but I'll tell you, if Steve Spurrier did it, I'd love to watch it.
I would too. Love having you on, Coach. Good to talk to you again. Good luck on the special, and let's talk again before the summer gets over.
Yeah, let me say this, buddy, too, that you're a dear friend, and I saw your piece that you wrote, I want to say a week ago, when Laura and I looked at it. You are extremely unique and so talented. And I can say this on behalf of many, many people. We love you and appreciate you, brother.
Well, that's awfully nice, Irvin. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Love to
Thank
Shelley. Thank you.
Take care.
Urban Meyer.